Howdy, folks. It's time for another update. This is Saturday, August 3rd, which means it's now been 5 weeks since my stroke, 5 weeks ago today. This is my fourth update video. I wish I had some great news to report, but unfortunately, last week I was showing off. I could stand up, I could take off and walk, and it's going on in the stroller. And last weekend, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, I did a whole bunch of walking. I was doing 60 steps a day. 60 steps from the living room into the dining room and back, and I would do that twice, so 120 steps. And then, doggone it, Monday night, the cramps came back. This spasticity thing, I'm surprised that it's not more well known or understood. And I'm certainly surprised that the folks in the hospital didn't tell me what was going on, because that's when it started. It was like, I guess the second or third day after the stroke. It's when I started having these contractions where it would just yank my leg up. Go ahead and flex you guys out there, you macho men, flex your muscle. It's just as hard as you can. Flex that bicep. That's not as hard as the muscle can be flexed. Your brain can flex that muscle a lot harder, out of your control. But when it does it, it's hyper contracting, if that's a word, the muscle, and it hurts like heck. And especially when it does it every 5 or 6 minutes, several times an hour, all day long and all night long. So Wednesday, I had just a horrible day. I managed to get out of bed and get onto the recliner, and just sit on the recliner, and the contractions were happening so fast, so frequently, that I just sat in the recliner and kind of just waited for the next one to happen. And then sure enough, here it kind of, the recliners have the footrest when the recliner is down, the footrest is across the front of the lower part of the recliner. I kicked that thing a whole bunch of times. When the contractions would happen, it would pull my leg back and boom, wrong with that. So that means until today, I wasn't even really able to stand up again. So I've slipped back a little bit, but I was warned to be prepared for this. So I'm still positive. I'm getting better and better at doing this with my arm. You can tip the camera up and you get in the camera. Okay. And I did this 50 times today. So that's an improvement. Also, I have to say, my Uncle Jim started a GoFundMe campaign. I'm embarrassed, and I hope none of you was offended that you were sent a message. And thank you, a big thank you to every one of you who has contributed. It's embarrassing to be in this position, but I didn't have insurance when this happened. I was planning to get myself reestablished, get back on an insurance plan, and it's one of those, mishaps, and it's very unfortunate. I was not going to ask anybody for money. I'm sure I can make it, and in fact, just today I applied for a job. How do you like that? I applied for a job to do edit blogs, which I could do from right here from my computer, even with just one hand. I'm hoping I can get this hand back so I can use it on the typewriter. Still, the fingers are still so swollen. I can't close make it fit any tighter than that as a fist. I just cannot close my fingers down. But you can see I can still work my fingers. So, speaking of spasticity, I've been doing a lot of research on it. And it comes in all kinds of forms, and in all different times. Some people, like me, get it immediately after the stroke. For some people, it doesn't start until a year after the stroke. I just can't imagine a year after the stroke, all of a sudden having these spasms and not knowing how, where the heck they're coming from. Some people with spasticity don't get the real hard jerk spasms like I get. Their muscles contract, not very hard, but then they can't uncontract the muscle, if that's a word. So there are videos of people who they'll have a closed fist, and they just can't open their hand back up. The brain is telling the muscles to contract, and will not give the message to relax. So physical therapists have to come along and pry their fingers open and get them to spread their hand out. That's the best therapy for spasticity, is stretching. I've been doing a ton of that, believe me, every chance I get. Some of the spasms now are happening in my foot. That's a weird thing. it's causing the foot, whatever muscle it is that when you want to lift your toes up, lift your, like you're taking your foot off the gas pedal, well, that with the spasms, it just causes it to do that, like it's going to just rip my foot off, it's just, so my foot is all swollen up. It looks awful. But today the knee feels, it's Saturday. Wednesday was the worst. The spasms have seemed to back. I keep thinking of things to tell you. Yesterday we had our first doctor visit follow-up after the hospital. Thankfully, this doctor understood spasticity and even had what you might call a homeopathic, or what do they call produce that hasn't been, no pesticides,
organic,
thank you, organic mustard. So some people have gotten relief from their spasticity by taking about a teaspoon of mustard a day. I just put a big swirl on 3 Ritz crackers and have that, because it's straight mustard. That's kind of tart. And I don't know if it's because of that or it's going in cycles. But in the last 2 days, since we went to the doctor yesterday, the spasms have reduced dramatically. I still had them last night. All of a sudden I would just wake up with my foot yanking up, coming up to my chest practically. I've learned not to yell when that happens. It's, when the contractions first happen, your inclination is to go, ah, because it's such a surprise and such a sudden jolt of pain. So I've learned to grit my teeth and not wake up the whole household, because I did that a few times. And thankfully, once the spasm stops, there's this profound sense of relaxation, and I go right back to sleep. So that's a good thing. And I only had maybe 6 or 7 of them last night over the entire night. That's a whole lot better than having 6 or 7 of them per hour all day, all night. So I wish I could report better news, but I am still absolutely positive that 2 steps forward, 1 step back, but that's still 1 step forward. So I believe things are going well. Thank you again for all of you for your support and for watching my videos. And I hope things are going great wherever you are. Thank you again. We'll see you next time. Hi again. So now I'm in the recliner that I described earlier in the video. I realized I was being remiss if I didn't make a comment about what happened here in El Paso earlier today. We have joined an ignoble list that no city wants to be on. We had a mass shooting here, and it's in an area of town that I'm very familiar with. I grew up on the east side. We live on the west side now. El Paso refers to itself as east side, west side, because there's a mountain that comes right down in between the city, and the city grew up around the mountain. East side, west side. We're on the west side, but it was near Cielo Vista Mall, where one of my first jobs was at a Dillard's there at Christmas time. So it's a terrible tragedy, but everybody we know, all my family and friends are okay where they were not involved. It's something that I would like you to know, for those of you who aren't from here in El Paso, might live other places. In the last 4 out of 5 years, El Paso was the #1 safest city with a population over 500,000. So this is a terrible black eye on our reputation as a safe city. I just don't know what drives a person to do something so horrible. But just wanted you to know that I am, we have been following it all day, and our hearts go out to anybody who is affected, all the families and friends of this terrible shooting. Thanks.